What you want is comfort in a building, cold showers, hot showers, cold beer, industrial shaft power. If he can deliver you the services cheaper through efficiency than through new supply, that's the business to be in. So he wound up saving $1 million a year in this small rural town, cut energy bills to half that of the state average, unemployment to half that of the national average. With the lower bills, more factories came to town. That increased demand, so we went back and did more efficiency. He said efficiency is low-hanging fruit that grows back. Braddock, Pennsylvania. This is a Rust Belt town that's dying. They went from 20,000 people down to 2,000. Their mayor, John Fetterman, said, we're not going to die, we're going to go green. And started trying to attract to town renewable energy companies, energy efficiency, rebuilding the buildings, using the vacant land to grow organic vegetables to sell at a high price point to the fancy restaurants in Pittsburgh, growing feedstock for biodiesel, which is now being made in a third-generation, 100-year-old oil company. Remember, oil was discovered in this country in Pennsylvania. Just up to the north of here, a program that was actually invented in Berkeley, just a little to the east of here, is now, by California law, available to all governmental jurisdictions. The government puts together a little pool of money. As citizens, you come, you get your money, you put solar on your house, you implement energy efficiency, you pay it back out of a small increase to your property taxes, not to your neighbors if they don't choose to borrow the money. This is not a whole system tax increase, called PACE financing. In the 9 months after it went in Sonoma County, they had an 8.4% increase in the construction trades. Neighboring Napa County that did not have the program had a 3% decline at the same time frame. We know this works. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the U.S. bankrupt mortgage entities that you and I and the rest of American taxpayers are now paying to bail out, this summer put in place regulations that effectively ban PACE financing. If anybody wonders why I'm a little bitter about the Obama administration, this could be solved with an executive order. It has not been. It remains. This program, which verifiably works, creates jobs, drives economic development. Everything the bloody Tea Party says it wants is dead in the water. We know per megawatt saved in a community, you will generate over $2 million in increased economic activity, over $500,000 in increased wages, and jobs. 10 times the number of jobs that you would get if you invested in any kind of conventional energy. Again, if what we say we want, whether in this country or in any country around the world, is job creation, is economic development, is prosperity, is money in people's pockets, we know how to do this. Here in California, they've just fought a battle and preserved the Republican governor's cap on carbon emissions, AB 32. The Texas oil companies came in with a boatload of money to try to overturn it and lost. Yay, California. It should never have been in any doubt, because implementing this will create jobs, will add money, $76 billion, to the state economy, which at the moment is broke. 400,000 new jobs from climate protection. And nationwide, just implementing the best programs that the cities and the states already have in practice would way more than meet any climate commitments that we've made or would make under the Kyoto Protocol, save $350 billion and create 2 million jobs. What are we waiting on? If we want to start, a good place to start is buildings. Every building has enough little cracks in it to amount to leaving a window open year-round or more. Most of us spend most of our time inside of buildings. They're responsible for a great deal of the waste, greenhouse gas emissions, energy use, water use. Brilliant place to start, because we can take almost any building and make it 3- to 4-fold more efficient, new ones 10 times as efficient, and they work better. Put good green features into schools, you will get higher test scores. Put it into a retail store like a Walmart, and you will get 40% higher retail sales. This is the result of a measured, inadvertent controlled experiment that Walmart conducted over a decade ago, where they were going to build a green building. They got halfway through and lost interest. So they had a green half and a not-so-green half. Surprise, the green half had higher sales, and all the associates wanted to work there. If what you want is labor productivity, this is the holy grail of the economists. We do a green building, you will get 6 to 16% higher labor productivity. Nationally, that adds $200 billion to our economy, keeping workers healthier because they now have clean air and can see and hear themselves, add $58 billion. And what you pay for people is 100 times what you pay for energy. But paying attention to the energy is how you get that bump in productivity in what it is that you pay all the money for. Again, this is a systems understanding of which of the elements that you have the ability to influence will make a difference. You also get a very nice return on investment. You tell me where you're going to get a 40% ROI on your 401k or your bank account. Not happening. Changing out light bulbs, duct work. I mean, you get down into the increasing insulation. You're still going to get a vastly better return on investment than any other investment that you're going to make with your money. A lot better than putting it in your bank account. So we now have places like Ontario, Canada, that are recognizing that this is the route to economic development. They have now committed to shut down all of their coal plants and implement energy efficiency and renewable energy. Renewable energy, it can come on very quickly. Before the collapse, we were building a megawatt a week in this state. Southern California Edison built a 250 megawatt power plant on roofs spread around the county at a price point eerily close, $875 million, eerily close to the $800 million that it would have cost to build a 250 megawatt coal plant that was canceled up in Montana because the commission said this is no longer the cheapest way to deliver power. In that case, they said wind was. But we're very near grid parity, where the cost of solar crosses the cost of coal. Some of my students put together a particularly cool technology. It's a Gorloff helical turbine that fits inside of a municipal water pipe. In many municipalities, the water pressure is such that they have to put pressure reducers so they don't blow the fittings apart. He said, well, the turbine will be a pressure reducer and you get electricity from it. This is now going in down in Riverside. Wind. Last year we brought on 37 gigawatts of new wind. A gigawatt is roughly a nuclear-sized chunk of electricity. If we had built 37 nukes, you would have noticed. Did you notice all the wind? And I've never heard of anybody calling for an evacuation plan from a wind farm. Wind spills, now that's a risk. And check out China. China has surpassed the U.S. as the world's wind power. Good thing, because Lester Brown points out if China continues to grow economically at the rate that it has, uses resources as efficiently as the United States, they're now fourfold less. By 2030, they're going to want more oil than the world now lifts or probably can ever lift. And more cars and coal and cotton and concrete. The future's not possible. When you recognize that the future's not possible, you're looking at a driver of change. It's going to change. We may not know how at this point. We know it's going to change. When you know something's going to change, then you can start to think about how might it change? How do we want it to change? Well, here's how China wants it to change. This is a megawatt grid integrated on a roof in China. Kind of pretty, too. Rizhao, China, city of 3 million people, 99% use solar hot water. How many of you do? This is an unusually large amount. Right.
Elizabeth. We're the co-hosts. Thanks to Dana.
Thanks to Dana. Rizhao, 99% of the population uses hot water because the government recognized if they can get the volume up, they can get the price point per unit down to the point where they can export it to all us idiots who don't yet use it. Beijing, China. The young mayor woke up one morning to find that the lake that the city surrounded had died. The industrial toxins from the legacy industries, the car and textile mills, had poisoned the lake, and the fish all died. He said, polluting first and cleaning up later is very expensive. We're going green. He started recruiting renewable energy, energy efficiency, green technology companies to come and locate in Beijing. It is now called China's Electric Valley. It's the center of prosperity for that region of China. Chinese are putting solar on yurts, building integrated photovoltaics. About a year ago, Tom Friedman wrote an interesting little piece called Have a Nice Day, in which he pointed out that Applied Materials, company based down in San Jose,
Who's also our major funder.
very smart company, is building 14...
Not to edit what you say, I'm just saying there's an interesting relationship.
They're building 14 manufacturing facilities around the world to make the machines that make the solar panels. They're in Germany, they're in Spain, they're in Italy, they're in India, they're in China. How many in the U.S.? 0. Have a nice day. Think about it from a geopolitical standpoint. Go back to the first industrial revolution when we created commerce using water power to make iron and textiles. And then James Watt invented a steam engine, and we invented locomotives and steel and cotton. Where did that happen? Where in the world did that happen? The first industrial revolution. England. Think Charles Dickens. And what was happening in the world then? The sun never set on the British Empire. The British Navy ruled the waves. Britain was the world's economic power. And then some fool found oil in Pennsylvania, and Henry Ford built a car, and Thomas Edison built a light bulb, and General Electric. And then we moved on to petrochemicals and the space race. Some of us are old enough to remember the space race as the basis of prosperity. It's what created Silicon Valley and the internet. Sorry, Al. And then the IT revolution gave us all these little things in our pockets that have 3,000 songs on them. I really didn't know that I needed one until I couldn't live without it. But what's next? What are we all going to do for a living? We all going to be burger flippers? The nation that innovates rules the world. The U.S. has ruled the world because of its innovation. Who's innovating now? Where are the technologies that the world needs being created? Because the answer to that will determine who runs the world. Who has the economic, political, and military power in the world? We'll follow who innovates. Jump ball at this point, I'd say. Comes another one of these drivers of change. How many of you have read Matt's book? Another bit of your homework. Matt died this summer, tragically. He was a Houston oil banker. Not your basic long-haired California radical hippie.